In this lesson, we'll learn about the principle of anticipation. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we've got a simple animation here. And it's basically an arm kind of coming down like it's wanting to come down on a table, like you're slamming your fist down on a table. And so this feels very robotic, linear, abrupt, and quite frankly, really boring. Okay, so there's a number of things we can do to really make this intended action more interesting. And one of the things we can do is use anticipation. And this is really one of the oldest devices that has been used in the theatrical world, where basically you're leading the audience into what is about to happen. If you don't have anticipation, the viewer they're going to become a little bit nervous. It's kind of off-putting. They become restless, and they're just going to wonder, well, what is this character even doing? Okay, and so anticipation is basically kind of a movement that you want to employ before the main action. So before this arm basically is going to slam down, we need to have some sort of movement, some sort of action to precede it. Okay, and it basically gears us up. It lets us know, okay, this arm is about to do something. It allows us to anticipate what is about to happen. So what I'm going to do is let's just go ahead and delete these keyframes right here. Just holding down Shift, selecting all of them, hitting F7. We'll come over here to the beginning here. I'm going to take the peg for this forearm. So it'll be this forearm peg. And I'll go ahead and straighten that out. And let's go ahead and come forward in time. I'm going to take the upper arm, and I'm going to bring it back. And then I'm going to also take the forearm peg. I may go ahead and come forward one frame and bring it back as well, right about there. So we'll get a little bit of overlapping action. And then we'll come forward in time, say about a few more frames there. And we'll take the forearm. I want to straighten that out. And I may come forward one more frame with that. And then I'm going to take the upper arm, and I want to go ahead and bring it all the way forward. Okay? So a little bit of overlapping action there. Right? And already we've started to incorporate, we started to work in that anticipation. The arm is going to come back, allowing our eyes just to click, just a little beat there to anticipate, okay, something's about to happen, instead of just having it move linear, straightforward, very abruptly. Okay? All right, and then the next thing I want to do is just think about the hand itself, kind of working in a little bit of drag as well. So as it's coming up, go ahead and kind of have it come like that. Then as it comes forward, add a little bit more drag. And then something like that. So if you watched our anticipation, or if you watched our lesson on follow through and overlapping action, you can kind of see what I'm kind of doing right there. And when you start to kind of combine, I've mentioned, as you watch these lessons on these different principles, you can kind of start to see how you can begin to combine them, how a lot of them bleed into one another. So now we have something that feels a lot better than what we started out with. We're anticipating right there at the beginning with the arm coming back before it slams down. So a very simple example, and hopefully that kind of starts to illustrate visually what this particular principle is all about. I want to show you another example here involving a character. We can kind of break it down. We'll go ahead and scrub back to the beginning here, and I'll drag my frame range bracket. Let's zoom in here. So this is a character that we use for our slow in and slow out example. And so basically what I'm doing now, I'm scrubbing through, and you can see how before he goes straight into getting off the box, he leans back, right? He's kind of almost building a little bit of energy up, kind of coming backward to push himself off of the box. Because before, we didn't have any of this. If you go back and watch the slow in, slow out lesson, he just gets straight up off the box. he goes from this pose to this pose right here and just gets straight off the box. And so this is something you can incorporate with your own characters. Think about ways to build anticipation. That way an action isn't so abrupt. So if we play that, you can see kind of how that feels. And if you want to kind of break this down, you can turn on the onion skinning here. And basically, I do the same thing that I did in the previous lesson where we kind of slow in. You can kind of see the spacing there as he leans back. He doesn't hit a wall. It's not an abrupt stop. You can kind of see the spacing that we have there. Kind of slows into that and then slows out of it and goes right into getting off of the box there in preparation to take off walking. So just playing that one more time. All right. So very cool. And so my recommendation is with something like anticipation, I would act it out if you can. You know, if you can act it out in front of a mirror to kind of get an idea, or maybe film yourself or a friend. Think about the action that you want to animate, okay? Whether it's a character punching or kicking or jumping or whatever. Think about that action, but then also think about how can we give the audience just a few beats to kind of have that anticipation. That way they're not thrown right into it. And that's basically what we did here, just with this simple example of this arm. Okay? All right, so in our next lesson, we're going to move on to our next principle, which will be secondary action. And we'll kind of talk about how secondary action can really be a supportive component to the kind of the main action that you're presenting with your animation. So it's not to be confused with what we've done here, where we've kind of created an action just kind of right here at the beginning before the main action of the arm coming down. Okay, secondary action is different from this. But stick around, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that in our next lesson. So we'll see you then.